Well, hello, everybody. How's it going today? Happy Wednesday. I was like, wait, what day is this? Had to look at my phone. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. I'm not that late, but it is Mr. Eve's fault. He calls me 1 minute, okay, 1 minute before and was like, I know that you're going live right now, but can you do X, Y, and Z? And I was like, I will. So it's his fault, but that's okay. I mean, if I'm not late, like always say, then who are you really dealing with? Because it ain't me. If I'm on time, there's something wrong, right? Anyway, guys, thank you for being here. I'm so glad to see at least like 20 viewers, which is really good for a start. We're getting there, right? Jen Hannah, 4 minutes. Girl, it's that cancer energy. It's giving me snippy cancer vibes. Just kidding. Hi, Julia T. Glad you're here. My shed lines, Brooklyn, my Gemini friend, Mr. Eve, Scorpio vibes. Yeah, make sure to grab a snack and a drink. While I blamed Mr. Eve. It's all good. It's all good. Millennial Phoenix, how are you? Guidance with Life in TLC. Please go check her YouTube channel out. If you want to post your link, if you can, guys, be more than happy to put that up there. She does pretty much the same thing I do, except for she's a lot more entertaining. Miss Freebeg, how you doing, love? Who did I miss? I don't want to miss anybody. So if I did, sorry about that. And if you're coming in on the replay, thank you for being here. Go ahead and hit that like button or dislike button, whatever you prefer. But if you're going to like my content or at least watch it, go ahead and subscribe. You can hit all the thumbs down button you want. Every video you want. Just make sure to at least subscribe. Don't be a heifer. All right, y'all. We have a lot to discuss today. I don't know about you, but I feel like it's pretty obvious that true crime lately has been ratchet. Not only ratchet, but hard to digest, especially with the Lori Vallow case right now and all of the details coming out with that, specifically the Letitia Stout case with Gannon and all of those details. And then the confusion with the lack of anything on Summer Wells's case. No updates, no nothing, but that we have Tim Mullins' creepy ass coming out of the woodworks writing for them, going to Dr. Phil again. It's a lot, And then we have Michael Vaughn's case. Lord help us. Sarah Wandra and her charges being dropped, or her charge of failure to report a death being dropped, and then 3 felonies added to her case that were dismissed the year before. So what's going on? And then we have, to wrap it all up in a bow, we have Brian Koberger and his defense team wanting to bring Bethany Funk, one of the surviving roommates that was on the first floor, as a testimony witness because, nobody can pretty much tell her that it's wrong. Nobody else was there to back up her claims or deny her claims. So, lots to discuss. And I really want to get your opinion on this, so feel free to put it in the chat about whatever topic we're discussing, because I do like that different opinions, and I'd like to talk about it. Tyler Eve says, hi, Mama. Oh, hi, little one. I hope you can hear me. Hi, Turkey. Be good for your daddy, because I will hear about it. Hi, C12E. Glad you're here. So let's get started and get it out of the way, honest to God, with the news about Lori and the manner of death that they came out with for JJ and Tylee. Tylee's is a little bit more unknown, right? But from what I heard, Nate Eaton is on it. It was pretty bad, as we all already knew from the preliminary hearings and all of that stuff, the pre-trial. Um, Either way you look at it, it's heartbreaking. So I'm going to open up the pathologist cause of death for JJ and Tylee with Nate really quickly. This is not my audio. This is obviously Nate Eaton. He's from East Idaho News, right?
Good afternoon,
Yeah.
everybody. I'm Nate Eaton outside the Ada County Courthouse on a lunch break from the Lori Vallow Daybell trial. Some big news out of the testimony this morning. The medical examiner has been on the stand most of the morning talking about JJ and Tylee, their autopsies that were done, what was found as they did these autopsies, and he determined and announced that JJ died from asphyxiation from a plastic bag and duct tape over his mouth.
So we kind of knew about that, I believe, from previous court hearings, but it is official that he did suffocate. He was suffocated by a plastic bag and duct tape. I assumed that was a trash bag, but either way, it was murder. It was homicide. And I cannot believe for the life of me that when I play you the audio that I recently heard, I had not heard this before. I'm not sure if you guys had or not. But the call between Lori's sister and her while she was in jail, while Lori was in jail, when they just found out that they had buried up the remains of JJ and Tylee from Chad's property. It's heartbreaking. It is sad. But, I think that it's important to know what, in my opinion only, how much and how big of a psychopath she is, Lori Vallow Daybell. So I'm really interested now, trying to keep this all in my mind for when Chad goes to trial. You know darn well that public opinion is going to be swayed on his trial. And I'm going to go ahead and predict the fact that about 70% of the people are still going to be like, you need to fry, bro. And there's going to be that 30% that says, well, she was the one. She's not the one that was swayed by. She didn't do the swaying on Chad or vice versa. So there's going to be that small percentage that I feel is going to want Chad to walk. You know what I mean? Which we all know is probably not going to happen at all. Evidence is key, right? But I don't know. I think it would be, if I were Lori in her position and Chad's position right now, I would rather be in Chad's. Let's just say that, right? Because, you're next. And you already have all of this information pretty much given to you on a platter by the trial that you could definitely prepare for, in my opinion, no matter what the rules are. They can tell you not to watch the trial and all that stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean it always happens. Mystery Bug says, how crazy. JJ and Tammy cause of death were the same. And we can obviously assume that Alex Cox was the handler, if you will, of the dirty work. I just don't see Chad having the kahunas to do anything in the nitty gritty of it. I think Alex for sure. He was a little bit more dark in a sense, in my opinion. But I don't know. We'll have to see what the evidence says. But let's continue with this.
We knew that JJ was wrapped in plastic and buried in Chad Daybell's backyard. We did not know specifically how he died, whether he was drugged or shot or whatever other manners there will be. But the medical examiner just said moments ago that JJ Vallow died as a plastic bag asphyxiation from a plastic bag and duct tape over his mouth. The toxology report showed some normal levels of substances that would be found in a normal body. It sounds like there was one.
So there were low levels of ethanol or alcohol, which the body naturally produces as a byproduct in the liver and kidneys. So uh, that I didn't think of anything of. There was a little bit of caffeine, which is in everything. Um, I think my body is 80% caffeine. So if they found me, they'd have a hard time differentiating what was too much and what was self-induced, right? Like, okay. Anyway, um, he did have a little bit of GHB in his system as well, which is what they call the date R drug. But that is also a byproduct too. So it's kind of hard to know if that was actually given to him to date him, which I would assume there's something. I hope, as horrible as this is, I hope that there was something that could make it any easier for the poor boy, and Tylee for that matter. But they just can't tell yet. They don't know. Yeah, 80% caffeine for a fact. If you think I'm lying, I'm dying. It is what it is. Maybe not so much anymore. And I'll tell you at the end, if you stick around, there's a surprise, a big surprise that I have for you guys. Coffee for life. That's right. Hey, Kirst. Yeah, plastic bag and duct tape over JJ's mouth. This was a child. Yep. It's almost too hard to even remotely think about how something could happen to a child like that. Even though, I'm sure anybody who watches my channel has been following true crime for a long time. I just can't imagine. I just can't. I think it would break me if I actually tried to understand it. So I'm not going to. But she is a psychopathic bitch, Miss Lori, and I hope that she gets everything coming to her. Red Bull is king. It is until, your kidneys fall out. And you need to have at least one. Miss Rubeck, I feel like you were right about Alex killing the kids, but I do think Chad off Tammy. Yeah, probably. I want to know if Alex was the one that was trying to shoot up everybody that came in contact with Lori that would buck the system that they had going, that little cult system they had going. Demons, if you will. I wonder if Alex did all of those. And that's why he had to go, because he was murdering people left and right. And then, murdering the two children that was going to be a big witness to destroy them if they got caught, which I feel like they knew they were. Come on. Unless you're that egotistical, which doesn't surprise me. I just don't see it any other way. So in her coffee. That's true. Even her coffee all day. Kerr says, I don't think Alex did it. I'm thinking Chad. I think Chad was the operations manager, if you will. And I'm not trying to make light of a horrible situation, but I think that he tried to dictate everything and make sure Alex wasn't getting seen or caught. That's what I think. I mean, you're already offering evidence placed in your pet cemetery. These poor children. Ugh. So if you want whatever offering Alex was rewarded, I don't know what it was. Money, maybe. Maybe that was it. Maybe Chad Daybell's wife's insurance money, life insurance money, some of it was going to be divvied up to him. But they got greedy. Right? Eve always gets her coffee too. Yeah, you do. You're a good man. Thank you, Mr. Eve. Alex and his niece Melanie, I feel, were in the shootings. Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree. So let's see about Tylee. Let's see.
One substance, I believe it's called GHP, that lunch 10 minutes ago, the medical examiner announced that she died from homicide, but no exact way. She died of a homicide, but they don't know the exact how she died due to the homicide. So it's been a really heavy day here in the courtroom. Autopsy photos were shown. When I say autopsy photos, I mean something like 30 or so autopsy photos. They were not shown to the public. Rob Wood, the prosecutor, wanted to show the pictures. The defense objected, said that it was too prejudicial. Boyce overruled them, and then the defense asked if they could be shown in black and white. The defense, Boyce then met with all of the attorneys, and the decision was made to show the pictures to the jurors on monitors that are in front of them. The judge also has a monitor, the defense has a monitor that Lori can see, and the prosecution has a monitor. So they decided that they would show those images on the monitors, but not to the public. So all the monitors were turned around so we could not see. We still heard descriptions of the autopsy photos, and they were quite graphic.
Yeah. So Tylee, no idea. They know it's a homicide, but because I believe her remains were so degraded and she was burned and everything kind of, I hate to say this, but things shrink and are manipulated when burned, especially just partially. They didn't have enough to say exactly what happened to her. I did read that there was no like bone fragments where you would assume like a shotgun or a gun wound to the head, nothing like that. They didn't see any splintering of bones, so they just can't tell. But I would assume that it was about the same way or something similar to, asphyxiation like JJ. It's just so hard to tell. We just don't know. I just hope it wasn't brutal. I hope that at least she was knocked out or something. That's what we hope for, because you can't change it, the fact that it happened. But I would assume that it was something similar. However, she's a bigger girl and she probably had some fight in her, right? I'd hope so. And there was some bruising and some what are they called? Contusions or something like that. So maybe she did fight, and then we just really don't know. I don't think we'll ever know. So I also noticed that somebody had tweeted that there was one juror in particular that was crying. Tears were coming down because of the brutality of it, and the pictures, and hearing the evidence being explained on these pictures. And I just could not imagine having to deal with that as a juror. There's trauma that comes from that. It's awful that what some people have to go through just by sitting in a courtroom to hear it. So having said that, I do know that Lori actually cried, per Nate Eaton on Twitter. She had some tears, but then after a few tears went back to her note taking. Can you believe that? I can. Doesn't surprise me a bit at all. I mean, it is Lori after all. That's just how she rolls. Gonna open up Nate's tweets. So the next thing that I want to go through, and then I'm going to get off of the Lori Vallow case because I just hate covering it. It's one of my least favorite. It's one of my least favorite of all time. Top 3. Just because of the idiocy of the Idaho courts, by the way, on this case. Like, it's ridiculous how long it took for anybody to even get a clue as to what to do, with the death penalties and all that. So they should have just split up the trials from the jump because they knew it was going to be an issue. You're dealing with a psychotic cult woman and her husband. Like, no, it was never going to work. Let me read here. Larry and Kay were not in the courtroom this morning, and I do not blame them whatsoever. They were aware of what would be discussed today, and Judge Boyd is back on the bench. So I don't blame her at all. I was going to say, I wondered if Larry and Kay were going to be here today, and I'm so glad that they weren't. They've already been through this. Like, they do not need another round. of hearing the same things. So I'm glad that they're not there, to be honest. Moving on. Oh, I did want to play the Lori Vallow's sister call from jail. Let me pull that up real quick. It's a lot. However, I think it's very, very interesting to see how Lori reacts so that everybody can understand what a psychotic bitch she is. If you haven't heard it yet, give me just a second. Never move to Idaho. It's a big fat Idaho, 'cause they don't know what they're doing. That is all.
And Lori's sister, Summer Shiflett, was on the stand, and they played a
in the courtroom.
Make some kind of a visual backyard, and Summer.
Is it in control, and is each side being allowed to do what it is that they need to do, or do they? Or do you get a sense that there's acrimony among?
Sorry, I got the wrong one pulled up. Because I'm a doofus. Hold on. I had one video, but it's not working now. Here we go.
You believe you're Yes.
Okay, so they're about to play the audio. And this is, again, Lori's
Your
sister.
Honor,
Just finding
having been
out.
previously admitted, I now ask to publish what has been.
Just finding out that JJ and Tylee were found in Chad's backyard.
With clerks, please.
She's just devastated. Is it hard to hear? So just my heart breaking, right? Like I just want to bawl hearing that. And she's like, I can't. Lori literally says, I can't talk about that. In a very calm voice. I can't talk about that. We don't know. Da, 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 da. She's not necessarily denying that she doesn't know. She's just saying that you weren't there and I can't talk about it. As if it's nothing. And her sister nails her here in a minute. Just listen. Did you know they were there? I can't talk about it. She had the audacity, if you didn't hear it, she had the audacity to say, you weren't here, because she's sick to her stomach. And she goes, you don't know what I've been through. That's what I wanted everybody to hear. We can skip all of the other stuff. I wanted everybody to know that's how evil this woman is, that she said, you don't know what I've been through. After just her sister just finding out that her niece and nephew, if you will, were murdered. I mean, you have got to be soulless, heartless, void of anything to think about yourself. So that's what I wanted to put out there, to never forget, never have an ounce of doubt that this woman is pure evil. Pure evil. Period. Like I said, one of the worst cases to ever have to cover. I hate it. But as we know, it has grabbed the hearts of many people, and we need to cover it for JJ and Tylee's sake. So, moving on to Koberger, there is so much drama. Have you heard about Bethany Funk allegedly seeing a naked man? A naked man? Are we serious right now? I mean, where did that even come from? Please tell me that is not what I'm hearing. Because if this isn't the best meme or GIF ever to come up, that's how I feel right here. Are you for real? I know. Yes, a naked man dope. That's what the 411 is today. I know. So, how I feel about Bethany Funk having to testify. I know she must hate having to be summoned to basically set Dylan, the other surviving roommate's claims of what she saw, what she heard, what she did. And so I'm sure that because the defense is saying, oh, there's some exculpatory evidence to clear Brian of whatever, which is not fact. That is what she assumes. That's what she is thinking, right? But because of that, she can sequester her, subpoena her to be talked to, right? I don't think she can be can she be cross-examined by the prosecution if the defense is requesting it? That I gotta find out. I wasn't sure about that. However, if they are, that'd be interesting. If they're not, that sucks. That really does. But in my opinion, if she's on the first floor, and none of the murders obviously happened on the first floor, everything happened on the second and third floor, and she never left her room, and she didn't get up until 8 hours around the time of the 911 call and all that other jazz. The only thing that I could figure that she is assuming, meaning the defense and Brian Koberger, is assuming that whatever she testified to, whatever she heard, is purely, you can't disprove it if nobody else was around or nobody else could confirm or deny what she heard. She was the only one on the first floor. So that's, I think, the tactic that Ann Taylor is going to use. I really do. I don't think it's anything other than that. Simple as that. And that's why Bethany doesn't want to testify against. Basically, she would have to testify against Dylan's version of events. We don't know if Bethany was drunk, under the influence, dreamt it. We don't know anything, honestly. Unless there is something like explosive that she had come across him before, she saw him, I don't know. But I think it would be more prevalent to then look at what she did around the 8-hour mark when everybody got up to call whoever. That would be, in my opinion, something to look into from the prosecution side. Like, what did she see differently than Dylan? Or what happened, or what did she notice differently? She should be a witness. So at the same time, like, I feel bad for Bethany. At the same time, the law is the law, and we have procedures set in place for everybody to have a fair go at this. And unfortunately, she's got to go. Like, she's got to go to court, and she needs to fight for her four friends who were murdered. That is what we do here. So as much as I can sympathize with Bethany and her family, I feel like it's appropriate for her to be a witness, even if the defense didn't subpoena her. Either way. Because you got to get the full potato here. You want as many witnesses as you can to tell the story, to have a fair trial and it not be jeopardized. That's just me. But I understand. You know? Well, dang, if her testimony is that she saw a dark-haired man naked in their house, and I don't see that going well for BK. That's what I said, too. I was like, you're going to sit there and tell me that this came out of nowhere after the subpoena for Bethany. Now this wild conspiracy theory is that a naked man was seen by Bethany? Like, pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. This is what the media does. And you know what? Harsh Reality, please go check out his channel if you haven't watched him lately. But he made an excellent point today. I was watching his gag order video and the Bethany Funk video. And he made a great point. He said, the gag order is why this is a problem. Like, all of this speculation is because the gag order does not fill in the holes of the public speculation side and what they, I guess, have the right to know, freedom of information, right? That gag order is why you're having all of this craziness, because they knew that the media would dissect this and spin it and make up crazy wild theories like they always do in high profile cases. And I agree with him. I do. I agree 100%. Just because we're not privy to knowing specific case detailed information doesn't mean that entities like the media aren't going to take advantage of it and exploit it for everything it can. And that was what the gag order did. I agree, Harsh. If you're listening, well done, well said. I couldn't say it in that way without really having to think about that, and you made me think. So what do y'all think about that? Do you think that gag orders are toxic for nosy sleuths like us? I do. But not only that, I mean, you need to know who you're working with. If that boy gets acquitted, you want to know. Which I don't feel he will, but you know what I mean. Yeah, pump your brakes, pump your brakes. Millie says, Millennial says, how does a naked man rule out BK? Right? And who is your source? So let me do Bethany Funk. Twitter's wild too, y'all. It's crazy. It's crazy. Mm-mm-mm. Hold on a second. Everybody has a damn opinion on this too. It's wild. Like it really, yeah, here it is. Thank you, JLR. I was looking for the smut and he had it.
Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the Moscow, Idaho case. Let's talk about the new bombshell revelation out there that Bethany Funk saw a naked man run out the sliding glass door of the Moscow home where 4 college students got brutally stabbed during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. This is according to an article by The Mirror. And I want to show you this article because we're going to discuss this because people are talking about this like it's true. I don't think it's true at all. I think it is fake news. Here, check this article out and then we will further discuss. And here is the article by The Mirror.
Feel what you want. Feel how you want about JLR. He cracks me up because he's ridiculous.
Surviving roommate in University of Idaho stabbings begs to not face KILLER in court. They're surviving, and this is by Leanne Buckler, by the way, U.S. News reporter. Leanne Buckler. The surviving roommate in the University of Idaho stabbings has begged not to appear at the suspect's hearing. Look how they worded that. Begged. She begged not to appear at the suspect's hearing. Bethany Funk, 21, was at her rental home in Moscow, Idaho, when Kaylee, Xana, Ethan, and Maddie were stabbed to DEATH on November 13, 2022. Suspect Brian Kohlberger, a former criminology student, has been charged with 4 counts of first-degree MURDE.
Yeah. And he's right. Like, I vetted that. And yes, it is definitely not official. It is not 100% truth. It's goofy is what it is. And honestly, ridiculous. I mean, how many college kids would run around naked at 4 a.m. drunk anyway? Like, let's just say this is a possibility, and I don't feel like it is. But I truly feel that it would not behoove me to find out later that there actually was, and it was a total random drunk teenage kid or young adults from school. I mean, look, I'm going to be real with you. I once got drunk and I had a banana suit on, like one of those Halloween banana suits, and I didn't have any clothes on underneath. And I was drunk, okay? I admit it. It was a long time ago. Okay, a long time ago. And the zipper wouldn't zip all the way up because I was drunk and stupid. And it kept falling down every time I would like take a step or jog. And, you know, my cheeks were out for the world for like 5 minutes. So it's not impossible to be, you know, an idiot drunk around college students at a sorority or fraternity. So getting off of that, I know that's a horrible picture for your poor minds, but either way, why are we giving this any attention? I do not know. Who cares? That we'll find out the truth later. I have no faith in the media at all. However, I do think that it's a moral obligation, I think, for Bethany to show up and tell her side of things, for not only the fair trial aspect. Brian has the right to do what he did with, you know, Anne and subpoena her. That is his right. No matter how you want to spin that, doesn't matter if you think he's guilty or not, that's his right to do it. And the judge was like, yep. So, but it is emotionally, I'm sure, just awful. But I hope that she thinks about every breath she takes as a blessing, and she needs to fight for her 4 friends. And that's just how I feel about it. So as much as I understand she doesn't want to do what she has to do, we all have to do things we don't want to do, even in the worst of the worst of the worst circumstances. And therapy is great. So all that hype, getting off of Koberger, that's all I got on him. I mean, look, they're going to hype up every single aspect of anything at all. And it's really gross. It really is. And there's nothing we can do about that. And yes, no naked photos of BK, please, for the love of Jesus. I can't. That would be it. Let me look at the chat real quick. It's either tell her side now and face the likely culprit, or live in fear for the rest of her life that he'll walk free and retaliate. Correct. I mean, if you can do your due diligence and put your information that you know to be true to you out there, you did your best. But if it went sideways and you didn't do anything, there would be a lot of regret, in my opinion, potentially to have. And that's just the way of it. I mean, that's just how life is. Period. I hate it for her too. I do. So getting off of that, I wanted to let everybody know that two things. I'm going to talk about Michael Vaughn and Lena Keel because they have updates in their case. I want to start making videos of not, those kids that are still missing that haven't had any updates, or missing persons. It could be either or. So I'm going to start moving cold cases and cases that do not have any updates for long periods of time that still need not only justice, but eyes on it. There's going to be a channel that I'm creating called A Voice for the Missing, which is my nonprofit 501c3. And I'm going to start putting those habitual videos up there and keep them there so that people know what resource they can then utilize, which is that YouTube channel, to find out new and older cases. But it won't be deep dive cases. It will just be the nitty gritty of it. Here's what happened, when, where, and how, and what we can do, and keep it pretty short and simple so that people have at least that to go to. Another resource. There's just so many, and that's so sad to say, but there's just too many to keep up on one channel. So it's just going to be, I'm separating it. And plus I need to promote, trying to help find these missing persons with donations for A Voice for the Missing. I have a few volunteers that are experts in search and rescue that are just waiting. And so it's time to act. It's time to do the nitty gritty. And I'm glad that you guys are here, because without you, it couldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. So I do appreciate all of your support during this adventure of starting the channel and a nonprofit. Let me get to Michael Vaughn first. There's not a lot to really say, but the update on her case is, of course, the failure to report a death was dropped. The charge was dismissed because of self-incrimination. There are some people who think that they're bringing bigger and better charges out for her, and this would just be a hindrance. Some people think that the case law that was comparative to hers is why they dropped it, because hers was dropped too. So it was a lady basically that was living in a trap house. There were a bunch of drug addicts in the house, and somebody had overdosed, and she helped dispose of this woman, because I'm assuming that the drugs would maybe tie back to them, and then they would get prosecuted for it. But we don't really know the full story. We just know that she allegedly assisted in this, and so that would be the charge in itself is constitutionally kind of incorrect, because Idaho sucks laws, apparently, and how to word them sometimes. But failure to report a death basically would make her self-incriminate on that, whatever happened to that person that she helped dispose of. So that makes it kind of like well, if you're going to charge her on that, really can't charge her on anything else. And plus it's unconstitutional, kind of. So that's where I see it as. But I don't think that the case text, the case law is that comparative, but I don't know the full details. So I really can't say. They're trying to compare, in my opinion, her disposing of a body that they don't have a body for. In that case that they're comparing to dismiss the charge, there was a body. They found her body. They haven't found Michael's. So to me, it's like y'all are trying to fit a theory into charges, but you don't have the evidence. You don't have Michael. You don't know. And that's not how I feel like law should work. I don't think that's the rules. You take the evidence that you have and then try to form a theory as to what happened, not fitting lack of evidence into a theory and shoot for the stars on some charges. I really feel like that is like Law 101. But it's Idaho, right? We don't know what they're doing. I don't think they know what they're doing either. So again, here's her 3 felony charges. I wanted to let you know that she does have a federal gun charge right now. I think her preliminary hearing is May 7th. It's coming up. So she has that. All right. And she has felonies. She already has felonies. So Idaho has a 3-strike rule. I want to explain this to you first before I get into her current 3 felony charges. It's a lot. It's a lot. Whew. May 4th. Thank you, dope. No, I do not want to sign up to your Idaho bullshit. Idaho has a habitual offender law. All right. That requires a 3rd felony to result in a minimum 5-year term. This, from what I understand, means each felony charge from 3 on is an additional 5-year term. The judge can decide differently on that, from what I've seen. But I don't think that you could alternate that 5 years term with probation. I think it is a prison 5-year term. No other ifs, ands, or buts. Yeah. A lot of legislators have issues with this because of, complex legal issues, of course. But just know that. Just know there's a 3-strike law. That 3rd felony going to get you some time added to your time, which I think is ludicrous. You're punishing a punishment. Make that make sense. But okay, whatever. Pop off, fam. I'm going to catch up a chat really fast so that I make sure that I didn't miss something. Yeah, I agree. I just mean like the government of Idaho and how it works and the system that it has created for itself sucks. The people can be cool. A lot of cool people from Idaho. There's a lot of shitty ones too, though. And I'll say it. I still don't understand how FPD can determine he was abducted without a body. Right. Preach, sister. Either FPD is close to wrapping up this case or they've got nothing and are back to square one because they don't have Michael's body or any evidence, correct? They do have that law. But what I've seen, if they plea it down, at most don't actually get that. So yes, thank you, Miss Rubug, for saying that. She's actually from the area in Idaho. So she would be more familiar than I would. But a lot of times they that 3 strikes rule is a plea negotiation tool so that they can avoid that extra 5 years. That is a good point. Yeah, the sentencing for these charges are crazy. Yeah, we're going to get into that in just a second. I understand. I hope your trip was good, and I hope that your friend's broken leg heals quickly. The man in the long shorts at the splash pad, did they ever find him? No. They haven't. I have my theories. Yep, I have my theories, but that's for another day. I just wanted to keep everybody updated. So these 3 felonies right here, I believe, correct me, dope, if I'm wrong, but oddly, the controlled substance possession, which was the 3 hydrocodone acetaminophen pills, I think they call them Tylenol 4s, correct me if I'm wrong, but she had an expired prescription, and there was 3 pills left, I assume, and it was in a baggie in her purse that she hid the gun in at her mama's case. And because they were in a bag, expired pills, she didn't have the actual prescription bottle with an active prescription for them. It is a Schedule 1. Crazy. I believe it is 7 years and or a $15,000 fine. All right. Now this would make it felony number 3 or 4, depending on how these other charges go, the federal gun charge and stuff like that. Evidence destruction, which was hiding the gun at her mama's, carries, I believe, 5 years and or a $5,000 fine, $10,000, one of those, I think 5. This one right here is $5,000 assault. This is going to be an automatic 3 strikes law because the 3 strikes law is for more violent felonies. This is going to automatically kick in the 3 strikes law. All right. So she's going to have not only 5 years for the assault and aggravated, but 10. And you cannot use that 5 years added on as probation, from my understanding. So there's going to be a lot of plea deals, I think, going on in the background of this. I would hope. But I feel like she's going to do time no matter what. I just have a feeling, unless there's a miracle. Which is really sad that, I think that they were trying to force Sarah, and this is just my opinion only, I feel like they were trying to force her to talk about something that she had nothing to say on, and she wasn't going to, even if she did, to frighten her and use it against her. And now they were like, well, too bad. When you're ready to talk, right? So on 4/11, I talked earlier about, or the last live I did was Tanner Butler, who they could not find to give the subpoena, I guess, for witness testimony or something, whatever they need. So they weren't able to find him. I feel like he was going to be, or he will be, an important part of it. If she pleads not guilty, he's going to need to be in some way, shape, or form involved in this matter for her, because he's the whole reason, half of the reason why she's here in the first place. So I don't know what's going to become of that. So 4/24 was a status conference. They tried to subpoena Butler again. This was new to me. I guess I didn't notice this the other day. 4/24, return of service for the subpoena. Wow. This is new to me, I guess. I guess they did talk to him. Anyway, interesting. 4/25 was the prelim hearing, which was yesterday. We did record it, but it's not even worth pulling it up because you saw her for 30 seconds and she looked the same as she did the other day when the last hearing that we did. So it was literally like, yep, okay, bye. So basically what happened was the parties stipulated, which means the prosecution and the defense agreed, and Sarah agreed to waive her preliminary hearing. That automatically bounds her to the district court because they handle arraignments for felonies. That's just how it works there. And so she's got to see a district court judge about the arraignment. What happens now? Well, I'll get into that in just a second. Motion for bond reduction was entered because she has a $250,000 bond. And I believe that was based on her $500,000 bond for the failure to report a death. But now that's gone. And she has that federal gun charge too, by the way. Now that failure to report felony is gone, she can probably get her bond reduced. More than likely. It just depends. I would assume, but it would be smart to try, right? And then the arraignment for the district court right here is 5/4. What is that, Tuesday or Wednesday? Let me see. Thursday. So next Thursday, that will be the arraignment. Now, this is where it gets kind of squirrely. Okay. I feel like they're going to plan on, meaning Sarah and defense, I feel like they're going to either try to plea bargain or not guilty. Because I thought a little bit differently before, but now that I see that the subpoena for Butler was sent again, it was not served. Oh, well, you know what? It would say served if they actually found him. So maybe they're trying. Sorry about that. I thought I saw return of service served. They're trying to get Tanner for some reason, right? I think that it would depend on if he is served and he shows up and complies. I think that she's going to say not guilty or plea. Now, what happens if she pleads not guilty? Well, it goes to jury. And then you have a trial. Now, it's very interesting as to what happens if she pled guilty. It automatically goes into this prerequisition kind of a report that has to be made on Sarah, which involves her character, her past offenses, charges, how she lives, her personal matters. It's basically a sheet that kind of analyzes her character as a person to see what's fitting for her crime. So basically, who you are as a person dictates how harsh the judge will sentence you. Is that not wild to me? What do you do with that? You can't better yourself and then get into a sticky situation or show your ass. Nope. Can't do that in Idaho. You got to be pristine at all times. And the ones that are actually predators out there get a slap on the wrist and 5 years probation. It's wild. I cannot understand it. Whew. But anyway, so I typed in the other day, Idaho waive arraignment bound over, meaning I think this is where I got the details. There we go. That's it. So again, like I said, in felony cases, the defendant must determine if she desires a prelim. If they request one is set. However, a defendant may waive these time requirements. And I think that was another thought process. Like, they're trying to keep me here as long as possible to pin something against me. And there's nothing to pin. So I'm going to speed this shit up. So let me waive my prelim. It could be. I don't know. That's speculation. If the defendant is bound, sorry, let me make sure that y'all can read this, right? If a defendant is bound over to the district court, which she was, she must appear for arraignment before a district judge. At the arraignment, the defendant is advised of her rights, his or her rights, and the procedures the court will follow from that time. it'll all be set up from there. It is at this stage that the felony defendant may enter a plea. More than likely, she's going to enter a plea at this point. All motions will be entered during this time. So that's the only difference. If she doesn't plea, it's going to be little things like motions and issues and all that stuff. And then it'll be a status conference hearing. You know the drill. If the defendant goes to trial and is found not guilty, she's released. He or she is released. And the previously set bond is exonerated and returned and all that stuff. If the defendant pleads guilty or is found guilty, the next step is to order a precedence investigation. That's the report that I was talking about. It says this is done in almost all felony cases in a large number of serious misdemeanor matters. And what is a precedence report? Well, it's prepared by an investigator assigned to a case, would be hers. It details important information about the defendant that will assist the judge in determining. Sorry, I make it a little too much. Assist the judge in determining the sentence. As if he can't make his own freaking deductive reasoning as a judge, but whatever. So once that is done, it's given to the defendant's attorney and the prosecutor. They kind of talk about things and go, well, should we they have to officially give it to the judge and agree on this stuff. What do? They get your information about the background, social history, private issues, past felonies, misdemeanors, whatever, all of it. And they can even go as far as to get people that have been harmed by them some way or somehow, like a testimony of their character. They can also do that, which, good God forbid, don't ask Tanner Butler. Would not help your cause, ma'am. So then that sentencing hearing is held once they agree to the report and submit it to the judge. And then at that time, the judge pronounces the terms of the defendant's sentence. So the judge has her by the balls if she's found guilty. And so does the scrutiny of public opinion and personal details of her life. And I've never heard of this before. I didn't know that this was a thing. It might be more common than I realized, but I did not know. And I really feel like it's very invasive for something like that. I've never heard of a report. That was what the trial was for, is what I thought. Like, the trial is basically your personal life being aired out in the midst of everybody in a jury of 12. Am I wrong on feeling that way? Let me know in the chat. I would like to know. I just don't get it, but I'm going to catch up with chat. I know. And why would you want to keep somebody quiet by charging them with 3 felonies and keeping them in the prison? You might never know. Like, let's just say Sarah knows something. You think she's going to rat? Unless the whole entire point was to plea on this charge to avoid others, which has been done many a time in the history of law. So that was my other theory. But I don't think that there's anything without a body and without evidence that we are aware of. How can you do that? So, do we know if she has previously been found guilty in court? Yeah. Oh yeah. She did prison time in Oregon for burglary. Mm-hmm. Family friend of the Vaughns and family of Tanner fought in the boxing match in honor of Michael. I've also seen where another Vaughn friend was friends with the Wandras in their taxi service. And yep, I can confirm what she's saying. And I think that is something that we need to talk about. And I might make some videos on, not about that specifically, like who and what and when. But is it possible that we are in the same situation as July 27th, 2021 and going forward? Is the memories just not there, that they may in fact know these people, come across these people, have dealt with these people or the people around them? Because, I can't, in my opinion, trust having a year go by with no timeline of what happened that day. JD said that day, not that window of time. He said that day, the whole gosh darn day, leading up to his disappearance. He's trying to figure that out a year later. And I'm sure he's still trying to figure it out to this day. I don't know. But what I do know is if we couldn't even get that, how are we so sure? How are we so sure that somehow, some way, somewhere, y'all didn't come across? Speaking of like Michael's family, you didn't come across these people? Y'all aren't friends with the Marts that knows the Sarkeys, perhaps, on 1100 Red Wing? Nobody ever came across Bob in that circle? Potentially, maybe. I don't know. That isn't a possibility to you? Okay. Well, that's what I want to know. If you don't, cool. But is it impossible? No. Especially if you know the answer to one of those. Do you know X, Y, and Z? Well, we know damn well who it is that you do know. And maybe that will jog some memory. And we need to start talking about it. And we also need to start going to the unreleased recordings from previous, from the first year and the second part of the year after Michael went missing. I think that that's what we need to start doing, and not for retaliation or anything like that. It's time to find Michael, and it's time to figure out maybe there's something that they can't remember in these recordings that will help figure out what happened now that we have all of these other players in the mix. What do you think, guys? Should more recordings be released? No matter what your opinion is on why they were recorded, do you feel like anything that could help find Michael Vaughn that was recorded be released for brainstorming and to help find what happened to Michael? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree, and put a 2 in the chat if you don't, no matter what your reasonings are. I would like to know. Because I listen to the people. And I want to know your opinions. That's okay. It's okay. Miss Rebeck says 1. Well, I also heard the other day, Brandy Neal, I believe, said that she was going over the past information about people's speculation on Tyler and her, I guess. She didn't say her, she said Tyler, which was kind of funny. It was weird. This is right after she announced that she and Tyler are engaged officially. At the perfect time, and it's not chaotic, and there's 4 suspects in your missing son's case. Why not a better time to get married than now? Congratulations to them. I hope it works out. Brooklyn says 1. All right. Don't be shy. Put a 1 or a 2. Or a F off Eve or whatever. I don't care. But I do want to know, besides my little group of people who sleuth with me, if you feel like it's a good idea to release the majority of things that would not affect the investigation, because they didn't accept some of the things that were offered, or could care less, meaning law enforcement. Why not? Do you think that the recordings that were not released, all of the other things that have details about, really it's just about what was perceived by the direct family members. It's not going to be specific investigative stuff, but it is going to be what they perceive it as. And I think that would be important, because maybe something will connect with somebody out there in Idaho who was around, who doesn't know that they have a tip, that they just don't know it until it's out there. So put a 1 in the chat if you agree recording should be released, or 2, no. That's what I was saying. Put it in the comments if you're watching the replay. That's okay. You know what? It's very scary to have an opinion on this case. And if you were seen as hitting number 1, and you may get crucified. I get it. I'm in it. I'm in the thick of it. I don't care though. Not that it's really going to sway me either way, but I'm going to do it. I just would like to know what you think. That's all. I don't know which number, but in my heart, I know that JD Huff should make an official statement. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm tired of the official statements not coming. So I'm making an official statement that, hey, not only am I going to release those bad boy recordings, respectfully as I can, but I have some news for you. I have great news. Are you ready for it? Not everybody knows. Where's my drum roll? Hold on. I gotta have my drum roll. Almost there. Okay, so I don't have a drum roll, so I'm going to do the rim shot. Okay, sorry. It's all I have. But
your girl True Crime with Eve and Mr. Eve are expecting another little Eve on its way due September 25th, 2023. Woohoo! You heard me right. Another boy.
so I'm glad I was
Able to tell you that. Oh yeah. So thank you guys for your support. That's why I have been away. It's been really hard for me on the nausea front and working so hard with my jobs and Mr. Eve and little Eve. So I had to take a break and really make sure that because I'm susceptible to the M word, if you will, you know what I mean. I had to take it easy and not stress myself out with all of these true crime cases. So thank you for being patient with me, and I'm so happy to be able to tell you that. It's been kind of a little secret. Woohoo! Yeah, Mr. Eve. What did Jen say? New prediction, he'll be early since Eve is usually late. I hope this little one is everything I lack in, okay? There. Baby Eve. Thank you guys for your support. Auntie Dope is so excited. I'm not going to ship him in a crate for you like a hamster, but I will pleasantly fly over there and let you love on the baby. How about that? Inside joke. Alright guys, I was going to talk about Lena Kill. I'm going to make a video on it instead because I'm at an hour and 17 minutes. So thank you for being here. New videos coming out, and again, I'm going to put a Voice for the Missing channel up soon. Make sure to subscribe to that and look for my community post on that. I appreciate your support, and again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're going to be here and watch it, just go ahead and do it. It takes literally no effort. I appreciate your support, and again, have a wonderful day, have a wonderful week ahead, and you know as I say, drink your water, hide yourself and your babies, your fur babies. Yay, I got a little baby on the way. And I will see you on the flip side, guys. Have a wonderful day.